Well, that's the reason I took the job. I found that the challenging part, the interesting part, to concentrate on one role. When you normally do a show, that's challenging as it is, but then to take on 6 or 7, but to have the original director take you through it, and even with something like Phantom, which I feel like I've done, and I kind of know the story I wanted to say with it as me personally, the actor taking part of the role. It's nice to kind of like connect with Hal Prince on that again. So it's sort of like I feel like back I'm doing rep season with a theater company, but all in one night, and working with such great actors. So whatever is challenging, that's the interesting part. And it takes a couple more hours than I normally would have to put in, but I like that. He's a very giving gentleman. He lets you bring something to the table, but I've made a point for some of these parts, like Tony and West Side Story, I didn't really want to prepare it before I sat with him, so I can be a blank page and see what he has to say. But he lets you try things. Like, he's so giving and he's so accommodating, but he knows how to steer the ship. He's a great captain. He lets people kind of develop, and then he'll guide them as he sees fit. Even with Phantom, he's let me run with it, but at the same time he's like, well, try this and try this. Because, it's been 5 years, I think 5 years since I've done Phantom or even thought about Phantom, and I never thought I would do it again. But what better way to do it? And I've always said I wanted to do Phantom in Japan. So even though it's a smaller segment, I get to do it in Japan with Hal Prince. So best of both worlds. You look at how successful Phantom of the Opera is, how his work, like Little Night Music, his Pacific Overtures, Company, the list goes on. And what's amazing in this show, I think we touched 28 or 30 shows. He's done double that still, and it's just so prolific. You name any sort of genre, he's probably touched, and it's still relevant today. And that's what's great about his work. It's real human stories that he seems to tap into. He's great. Well, I think it's a perfect excuse to escape for a couple hours and explore something so beautiful and celebrate what has brought them to theater ultimately. Everyone seems to be a fan of the opera. Well, the reason that existed was a lot of shows before it, and I think the future of musical theater starts with something and is explained with a show like this. So it's a one-off experience. I don't think anything like this will ever happen again, and for it to be a world premiere in Japan, which I think is the first time for a Broadway show, I think that alone is worth to come check it out, and I promise they won't be disappointed. That's my word.